Good afternoon and welcome to the Michael Eure Show. And we really are very happy today that we're going to have Lydia Salett Dudley as our special guest. And before we talk with her, and by the way, my name is Michael Eure, in case you don't know. My first guest is normally we have student hosts, but today we have a special alumni host. He was a host for us last year, Alfonso Hedgepeth. And the last time I talked to him in person, we went to the North Carolina Legislative Black Caucus Foundation Scholarship Banquet and other activities. And he said he wanted to go to North Carolina Central. And all 10 HBCUs in North Carolina were featured at this event. And he got to meet the chancellor of North Carolina Central and other people. And now he is going into his junior year. So Alfonso, tell us about your experience since you left Wake Tech and whether you felt you were prepared.
My experience has been awesome. I would definitely say Wake Tech has prepared me for Central, and being at Central around, a bunch of hungry individuals and people who look like me is just a blessing. I'm thankful for the opportunity, and I look forward to getting my degree from here, and hopefully a graduate degree also.
That sounds wonderful. And our second guest, and I'm going to let you ask a few questions for her, Alfonso, and I may come back. But Ms. Lydia Salett Dudley is also a graduate of Central, and she got her master's in jazz music. So you might want to ask her a few questions.
All right.
You don't have any questions? Alfonso?
Oh, yes, I do. Sorry. How was your experience at North Carolina Central?
I can truly say I had a wonderful 2.5 years, maybe 3 years at Central. And I went in as an older student, a much older student. So I worked during the day and just tried to hustle and do my classes and be around my work schedule. But the music family, the jazz department under Dr. Ira Wiggins, it's an incredible family. I first met Professor Ed Palantonio, and then he encouraged me to come to Central and try to get into the music program. So the people that I have met at Central, I'm still in relationship with them today. I collaborate with them. Professor Lenora Helm Hammonds, I'm doing an online class with her right now. So it's like, it was more than just taking classes and getting a degree there. It's like I found a whole nother family, and really I've been ushered into a whole nother world because you get to tap into everyone's experiences at the university.
That's awesome. When did you realize that you want to do jazz or study jazz?
Wow. So try not to tell my age, but actually I started taking jazz piano lessons around 35. Basically took piano lessons for a while, and then I took classes, a couple of classes over at UNC Chapel Hill. To get the experience that I needed to get, I had to come over to North Carolina Central University, and just they had the entire package. It's like you enter into a whole setup, and the staff, all of the teachers, they are very experienced. So in whichever direction you would like to go into, you got like some type of mentor, one way or the other, that can talk you through everything.
So growing up, like, was jazz your first choice? Like, growing up listening to music, was that your first choice? And when did you segue into jazz?
Okay. So no, jazz wasn't my first choice, and I did not grow up listening to jazz. As a matter of fact, I grew up in a Christian home. My mother studied music. She started studying music when I was a young child, and she studied classical music. So my brothers and I, we grew up listening to her practice her classical music, and she was also our church musician. We went to a small Baptist church. So between the hymns and classical music, pretty much that's what I grew up hearing in the house. And so, you know, like all young people, you know, you gravitate toward pop, rock, or whatever's popular at the time. But I think the very first time, well, I've been in North Carolina 20 years, and I searched out a piano teacher, and he asked me to play something for him. So I played something, kind of a church song, and he said to me, he said, "You have a slight jazz undertone in your playing," and no one had ever told me that. And so I already knew I wanted to study music, but I just didn't know what the approach would be. And so once he said that, you know, it kind of piqued my interest. And I was like, you know, I just felt led to say, you know, maybe I can find a teacher and see if this skill can be, you know, developed, and who knows where I can go with it. So my initial thing really was just to take some lessons to get acclimated with the music. So I'm gonna say around 35 is when I got my first lesson in jazz piano lesson, I guess I should say. So that was my introduction. Then I took a jazz appreciation class, and the rest is history. And so my undergrad was in accounting. So I wound up having to take classes, you know, until I can get enough classes. And then I went into the master's program over at Central.
So I'm currently in the accounting program at North Carolina Central. So that's pretty awesome. So I want to ask you about like workshops. For one, what about the workshop you did at Wake Tech, and also the performance, excuse me, at the Night of Museum?
Okay, so at Wake Tech, for Black History Month last year, I came through, I think it was last year or the year before last, and I was just going to do a songwriting session. And so I just kind of came up with a riff, a couple of chords, and, you know, we were talking about freedom. That was the subject. And so I just asked the participants, what is it that you think of when I say the word freedom? And basically, I want you to kind of develop a little short conversation. And wow, people had some wonderful things to say. And then I was just trying to get them to convert it to like a song. So I had some really good participation, and I had some very good talent in the room. So that was really great. And then I was asked to play this past January at the museum downtown, and I actually brought my whole band. And we just played background music as the participants and the visitors that came to the museum were checking out the music collection of the guests that you guys had. And we just jammed out. We did our thing, and all of the musicians in the group were either students at North Carolina Central University, or they were graduates of North Carolina Central University. So it's like I said, it's just like a family, and it's just a beautiful thing.
So you mentioned your group. Like, is this a group that you formed, or like how, like, was it the students, or how did this happen?
Well, first, when I would get an opportunity to do a performance or a gig, I would just try to get whoever I could to play with me and whoever was available. But then after a while, I said, you know, I need to really take the time and have people with me that we grow together. So I finally, after, let's see, I think I played my first gig in 2009. And so finally around, I'm gonna say about 2018, I finally began to really settle into working with the same people. And so the name of the group is Jazz Expressions with the X, Jazz Expressions, featuring Lydia Salett Dudley. And we have some recording to date. We've done a demo that include, you know, a couple of traditional standards that we've just arranged. And then we did a Christmas CD called This Is Christmas. And so we are constantly working on music to put it out. So with the virus going around, you know, it's been kind of tough, you know, to get together. We haven't been able to get together. So I'm really looking forward to the time when we can get together. So I'm gonna appreciate them at a whole nother level.
So, how can someone get more information about you, and how can they reach out to you to have you perform?
They can reach me by you can Google Carolina Jazz Girl or carolinajazzgirl.com, or they can contact me at 919-247-4630, and they can just, check our availability and let us know exactly, what it is that they would like, and we'll tailor make our show to fit their need.
All right, and now I have one more question before I ask you for a selection.
Okay.
What type of jazz do you play? I understand that there's like big band, there's Mississippi and New Orleans type. What type of jazz do you play, and what type of jazz do you enjoy playing? And
well, I enjoy jazz standards, and the reason is because just the history behind jazz is so rich and rewarding. And when you think about the sacrifices that were made and how, our composers and performers, they really did not get the recognition that they deserve. And the fact that you can study jazz at a university, in a university setting, and really preserve that culture and that inheritance, that's been passed down to our hands. And each generation, whenever you inherit something, you're in tune with what's going on currently. And so you modify your presentation before you pass it off. You modify it to your experiences. So what you do is you take the foundational tools, and that's what we learned. That's what I learned when I went to Central. I learned the foundational tools and what jazz was, and the stories behind it. And then I interpret that. And then when I come with my angle and my ability, then I'm going to spit out, what's going, it's current to what's going on. And I think in each generation has that piece whenever they do their own presentation. So for me, I was born and bred in the church, so I will always have like an underlying gospel theme, or, it's just the way my ears have been trained. So, I'm gonna say I do a mixture. So I do original standards, but then I'm gonna modify them and arrange them to my interpretation. So, it can kind of be, and sometimes it may come out with a groove or urban undertone, or even a gospel undertone, but pretty much I really like it in its original state. So,
okay. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so one of the songs I did arrange by Billie Holiday was God Bless the Child. And so that's one of the songs that's on my website. And, I've just done something a little different with it, because normally I would sing it as a ballad, but I sort of brought the beat up just a little bit to give it more appeal more to my current audience.
Okay. Do you have a selection that you would like to play, or anything of that?
I will perform a little bit of God Bless the Child for you. Them that's God shall get, them that's not shall lose. The Bible said, and it still is new. Mama may have, Papa may have. God bless the child that's got a song, got a song. Well, strong and small, the weak one fades. Empty pockets don't ever make you pray. Mama may have, Papa may have. God bless the child that's got so. Say it again, say it got your own. Oh, money, you got lots of friends hanging around your door. When they're gone and you're spending things, don't come around. Ooh, they don't come around anymore. Rich relations give us the bread and sun. You can help yourself, but don't take too much. No, I'm a man, I'm a man. God bless the child that's got some, got a soul.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
I think Michael is muted. I think.
Thank you for your patience. I'm unmuted now. Welcome back to the Michael Eure Show, and we have our special guests Lydia Dudley and Alfonso Hedgepeth. Alfonso is a graduate of Wake Tech, and he's now at North Carolina Central. Lydia is a noted jazz gospel musician in the Triangle area, and she's also a graduate of North Carolina Central with her master's in jazz studies. So what we're going to do, because our audience just loves good music, Lydia, can you give us a little mini concert? Maybe 10
minutes? Yeah.
So we'll all just get out the picture and let you do your thing. Thank you so much.
So this next song is a beautiful song by Nina Simone. And it's very appropriate for today and what we're seeing in the news and out in the streets and the important events that are happening. I wish I knew how it would feel to be free. I wish I could break all the chains holding me. I wish I could say all the things that I should say. Say it loud, say it clear, for the whole round world to hear. I wish I could share all the love that's in my heart. Remove all the bars that would keep us apart. Oh, I wish you could know what it means to be me. Then you see and agree that every man should be free. I wish I could give all I'm longing to give. But I wish I could live like I'm longing to live. Oh, I wish I could do all the things that I can do. And though I'm way I wish I could be like a bird in the sky. How sweet it would be if I found I could fly. Oh, I soar to the sun and I look down at the sea. Then I sing, 'cause no, then I'll sing. I know that I'll sing. I know what it means to be free. Yes, I know. Oh, I know how it feels to be free. That was by Nina Simone. If you ever plan to motor west, travel my way, take the highway, that's the best. Get your kicks on Route 66. But it winds from Chicago to LA. Travel 2,000 miles, but over the way. Your kicks on Route 66. Well, you go through St. Louis, Joplin, Missouri, Oklahoma City looks mighty pretty. You see Amarillo, Malibu, Mexico, like Arizona, don't forget Wyoming, Kingston, Barstow, San Bernardino, won't you get hip to this when you make that California trip, get your kids on Route 66. Should you be afraid? Oh, if you ever learn to motor west, travel my way, take the highway, that's the best. Get your kicks on Route 66. Get your kicks on Route 66. Get your kicks on Route 66.
All right, Lydia.
Gotta unmute your mic again, Michael.
Oh gosh, thank you, Lydia. Good. I was saying good work, good work. I know that you know we're gonna have you perform another, but we're gonna ask a few other questions. You said that you would get ready to work with some young people this summer. Tell us how would we talked about how people can get in touch with you, but if people wanted you to do particular workshops, because you've done some workshops for me in the past, which were quite excellent. So give some descriptions of maybe some things you might be able to do with the public.
Yeah, one of my biggest things that I love to do with youth is have them write their own music. I feel like, you know, as far as young people go, sometimes when we get in these settings, we want them to be quiet. We want them to listen to us as adults. We want to guide them, which is all great. But there comes a point in time where their voice also needs to be heard. And I think that if we associate positive things or say music that's motivational or music that, you know, is game-changing music, you could take those positive, you know, affirmation and ideas, and you could teach them some basics of songwriting, and you can just let them write. And kids, they are so creative. They come up with their own ideas, and they help you to be creative. So generally, you know, what I do a couple things. I've done a blues session where with adults or with youth, where I'll sing the blues to them, explain the theory behind it, you know, how you repeat phrases and how you answer phrases. And then I tell them to take their own experience and write according to the format of what I've given them. So, you know, I've had kids write about, I like school, or I don't like my brother. They can write about whatever they want, you know, and we turn it into a song. So the program that I'm doing this summer, we are going to do some recording, and these are high risk youth, and they're under very restrictive, they're in a restrictive situation, but they still have a voice. And sometimes you can get frustrated or that anger come out of those outbursts, where if you just give them a creative way to really say how they feel, you know, and it could be in a respectful manner, I think it will lessen those outbursts and that animosity that they build up toward the authority. So that's sort of my angle when it comes to working with you.
Okay. Well, Alfonso, do you have any more questions? Yes or no?
If you had,
I think you need to mute it.
I don't know if you had to choose, but who's your favorite artist, and who inspires you to play or make the music you play?
Wow. I definitely like Sarah Vaughan. Ella Fitzgerald, and Ernestine Anderson, even Dee Dee Bridgewater, and even our own Central professor, Dr. Lenora Helm Hammonds. I had a wonderful opportunity to participate with her. Nina Simone, they had a program, they had a celebration back in 2018 in Tryon, North Carolina, where they declared her home a national treasure. And as a result of that event, they invited 4 local female artists to that event. And I was one of the artists. And we got to perform and go through her home and just look at where she grew up. We got to meet her sister. And then we've been doing different things. They've been doing different things every year. And last year, Professor Hammonds, she was the first woman to do a big band CD and release. And she had Nina Simone's daughter come to Raleigh, and her daughter did the concert and the big band performed behind them. So we have local celebrities that I really look up to, that the people need to know more about. So Professor Lenora Helm Hammonds is definitely, and actually the CD that she put together, I was able to play one of the songs to accompany the big band on that. So it's just been an incredible experience working with different artists locally, and not just, you know, far away, or people we see on TV and we're not in touch with. So it's been great.
Well, we're getting ready to wind it down, and I'm not even going to talk about Donald Byrd. You don't know him, but he used to be at North Carolina. We're going to do a quick commercial, and then if you would take us out with a song, Lydia, we appreciate it. And you can choose gospel, jazz, whichever you choose.
Okay.
So Alfonso and I are stepping away, and it's all about you. Okay.
All right. Okay. So in light of everything that's going on, I just want to dedicate this song to everyone that's concerned about the current events. And I want your heart to be encouraged and keep hope alive. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. Oh, we shall overcome someday.
Well, thanks everyone for coming, and join us next week. And Lydia, you were wonderful, and we're going to have you back again. And Alfonso, we're going to have you back again as an alumni host. Next week, we'll have Jamaican Funkin' for Jamaica with Tom Brown. So tune in 12 o'clock next Thursday. And the week after that, we'll have Ronisha Stewart and friends, and they're going to be doing historical duets, Marvin Gaye, Tammy Terrell, and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to have some fun, y'all. Come on back. Until next time, have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.